Hello and welcome. Today, in this video, we're going to give you the Flyer team's highlights from Oshkosh 2023.
We'll be talking about our favourite aircraft,
our top experiences,
and why we would go back.
Plus, at the end, we'll give you 3 or 4 things that you're going to want to avoid if you go to Oshkosh. Aircraft, Ed.
Well, for me, I guess there were 2 actually. At opposite ends of the scale, there was a beautifully restored P-51C Mustang, which was famously a racer owned by Jimmy Stewart. It was called Thunderbird. It was bright blue, yellow accents on it. And they'd recreated it. They'd found some wreckage, rebuilt the whole aeroplane around it, and it was just spectacular to see this aeroplane. Things that you'd only ever seen in like black and white photos, but to see it in Technicolor, and it was just a typical fantastic American restoration.
And it was great to see it in civilian colours.
That's right, yeah. And what was nice is that they brought it down to the vintage area. So normally Mustangs go to warbirds. Actually, here was a Mustang in the middle of the vintage area. So.
Did it have any? Is there any of it that's original apart from the data plate?
I think it was probably some small bits data plate. I think I heard it was the tail wheel as well was original, but otherwise lots of new stuff.
Should have been in home built then.
It was on the Boeing Plaza for a while as well.
Yes, yeah, they put it on Boeing Plaza. Talking of home builts, the other thing that I completely uber geeked out over, there was a fantastic midget Mustang from 1973, which hadn't been seen at Oshkosh probably for 20 years, and it was just the perfection, a perfect example of the ultimate home building. It was the only aeroplane to ever win Grand Champion twice, and they rewrote the rules because of it. And so that turned up, and I was lost in all the technical detail of that.
And you took a rather wonderful photo of it during the night show, didn't you?
I did, yeah. No, it was. I always try and pick something nice to get the night show fireworks behind, and I picked that. So yeah.
Rachel, how about you?
It's kind of difficult to choose because there's an awful lot of amazing aircraft there. But I think my favourite thing, aircraft-wise, was the formation of the F-18s and Corsairs. Two F-18s, 2 Corsairs.
That's the heritage flight, isn't it?
Yes, and that was really an astonishing thing to see. Obviously, such fast aircraft alongside slower ones. But just the fact that the kind of both ends of the sort of military aircraft.
What always gets me with the heritage formations is that you see, and obviously there was P-51s and F-22s as well, is the size. You think the P-51's quite a reasonable size aeroplane, and then you see it in formation with an F-22, and you go, the F-22 is massive.
Yeah.
So,
but also this year was the Corsair reunion year, wasn't it?
It was
75 or 80 years since they entered service with the US military.
Yeah. He's reading about midget Mustangs, not about
that's it. Yeah.
It's either 75 or 80 years.
I think it might be 80.
And they were aiming for the biggest reunion possible because there's only about 24 of them left flying in North America. So I don't know how many they managed to get.
I don't think it didn't quite equal a previous record gathering, but it was a good number of Corsairs.
How about you then, Dave?
Well, I started off the week thinking that Cessna 180 resto mod that we saw was just so nice, so well done. But later in the week, I came across the Murphy Ball Moose. Now, you may have heard of the Murphy Moose. That's the one that had the Yak radial engine at the front, but that's not powerful enough for some Americans. So this chap has put a Corvette V8 engine in the front, and he's not just put one, he's made a whole kit about it. It's a firewall forward kit. You also do have to strengthen the airframe because the original airframe was developed for up to 400 horsepower. This thing, you can have it in 3 different stages of tune. The one that was at the show was in the middle stage, which was 480 horsepower. It's quite a big increase. And I didn't see it start up. That was the only thing.
I did actually. I saw it depart on Saturday, so I did. It makes a fearful din. But probably surely you didn't go for the most powerful Murphy Moose, did you? Because someone had stuck a PT6 turbine on the front of one.
I know. Yes, that would be fantastic. It'd be fun. But in America, you've got to have a V8.
Have a V8. Yeah. It was a spectacular sound when I heard it.
Yeah. I'm quite glad that you didn't go for the Cessna 180 because I think the Cessna 180 was possibly overall. It's difficult to say favourite aircraft, but kind of I've got a love and a little close relationship with Cessna 180s, and I think that Cessna 180 was just restored fantastic. It had bigger engine. It was just one of those airplanes that I could see if I happened to have an odd $500,000-$600,000 hanging around. I go, you know what? That's a consideration. It'd be a tough choice between that and an A36 or something like that, or something else. But that was just a very, very nice airplane. But I think not to be too boring, I reckon Oshkosh is the only place in the world where you can pretty much pick almost any type of German aviation aircraft and find an absolutely perfect example. And by perfect, I don't just mean clean, I don't just mean restored, I mean restored to within an inch of its life. Just absolutely stunningly done.
There's no question the Americans do restored aircraft brilliantly, and we see glimpses of it in the UK, but you go to Oshkosh and you see swathes of brilliantly restored aeroplanes.
And also they restore aircraft that are famous for some reason, like being 1920, the only 1929 one, and they restore it perfectly back to how it should be.
Yeah.
So those Wacos with, was it the Waco or was it the Piper Cub, with no windscreen at all?
Oh yeah, there was a. I think it was probably one of the record-sized gathering of Piper E2 Cubs, because it was a big anniversary of the Continental A40 engine, and a bunch of guys had got together and flown these E2 Cubs in, and the Cub there was famous for option list was windows and brakes and a tail wheel. So
yeah, I mean that they were fantastic. Those they were, but they were. Can you imagine like flying one in? It'd be great if you're flying one in from, I don't know, Fond du Lac or something down the road. If you're flying one in, I'm going to bring this one in from, I don't know, Long Beach or something.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
I'll set off now for next year.
Well, we did meet Steve Randall, the Brit, didn't we?
Oh.
And what a hero, flying his Chipmunk.
From Palm Springs.
Yeah, which is just an incredible flight. 3.5 days it took him.
Wow.
Yeah, haven't got a lot of fuel. I think 2 hours is the endurance. So you've got to do it in 2-hour legs. And, what a fantastic trip.
Like, he's a hero as well, because he bought us some beer, some specially brewed King's Coronation Chipmunk beer.
Yeah.
Which I've yet to drink.
Okay. Did you bring it home with you?
I did bring it home with me. I'm just not sure if I can bring myself to drink it.
Open it. Oh, no.
I think I'm going to have to, though, to be honest.
Definitely.
That's aircraft dealt with. What about experiences? Dave?
Experiences, well, I'm there to do news mostly, and I interviewed the guy from Cessna who was responsible for the upgrades to the Cessna 172, 182 and 206 interiors. And I have to say, it was a difficult interview, because talking to him off camera, he was all effusive and happy to talk and everything. But on camera, it just kind of dried up, and I just had to kind of really try and prise it out of him, what this is all about. Out across all the fleet.
Yeah, we're shooting for sometime early in 2024.
And the aircraft will go on sale with that during next year?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Will the pricing be approximately the same as it is at the moment?
There'll be a little bit of an increase, obviously, as we go from year to year.
So that was an experience. That has happened to me before at Oshkosh, where somebody dries up when you're talking to them. But enjoyable experiences, well, I guess the most enjoyable experience, really, thinking about it, was meeting Brian from Just Plain Silly.
Of course.
Yeah. We've had this little to-do in the past.
Maybe an international misunderstanding.
Yes. At least he's not from Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was good.
It was great to see Brian, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Rachel, how about your experience? I think I can guess what this is.
Yeah, it has to be the Bell 47 flight. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. It's just such a good way of seeing the whole show in one go and just really getting a sense of the scale of it. And being in a helicopter again is always nice too. And a historic helicopter as well. And it's quite fun because you so seldom see Bell 47s in the UK, but to see 4 of them constantly going around on a 5-minute circuit, constantly.
You get there we always get there on the Saturday, but we don't really go to the show a great deal on Saturday. So we're there on Sunday before it opens, and the rest of the week is just constant Bell 47s. There's like 4 of them, as you say, doing this. And I didn't realise they've got an R44 which they use for VIPs, whoever they are. So if you took a ride in an R44, you're a VIP, but you're a loser because the Bell 47 would have been much better, I think.
Yeah, much more fun.
Much more fun. So there's 3 of you in there, isn't there?
Yeah, you've got the pilot on the left, unusually, and then passenger on the right, and then one little one squeezes in, and that's a good tip actually, because if you're a small person, you can quite often skip the queue, because there was quite a big chap next to me and they needed just someone small to squeeze in the middle, so I managed to skip the whole queue. Because if
you want to skip the queue, you've got 12
months
be to lose huge amounts of weight.
Yeah.
Was it comfortable? Was it noisy?
Yeah, you don't get a headset. So it is noisy, but it's only 5 minutes, so it's not the end of the world. But you can't chat to the pilot or anything. So
How much?
£50, $65. So
That's in helicopter terms, that's a bargain.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
It
is.
is. You probably can't see more of Oshkosh in so little time,
No.
can you?
No, it's a whistle-stop tour.
Ed, you got to beat the Bell 47, or you got to beat the interview about the Cessna 170 interior, which is a high bar.
I know. I worried there when Dave started out with that story. Experience-wise, for me, is a little bit unique because for a few years now, I've volunteered on the EAA photo team, so I get to kind of see some of the workings of stuff from the inside. And actually, Oshkosh is all about volunteer effort to a large degree. It couldn't happen. There's something like 4,000 or 5,000 volunteers who make the event, and they do everything in literally months leading up to the event. So for me, it's the experience thing is about going back and seeing people who are like my kind of little aviation family every year, and it's great to catch up, and it's great to see people doing fabulous things, and everyone's having a great time towards the event as well. So
Are they all equally knowledgeable about aviation?
you'll
details?
be surprised, yeah. The guy who runs the photo team is. He won't be disappointed if I describe him as an equal aviation nerd to me.
So that's probably the biggest concentration of aviation nerdness
Yeah.
anywhere in the world
Oh
during that
yeah,
week.
the photo building is like if you could light it on fire, it would be this like big nerd blaze.
That's one of the things about Oshkosh, isn't it? The communities, all these different
Yeah.
aviation communities turn up. There's vintage people,
Yeah.
but within the vintage people, there's Waco people, there's Luscombe people,
Yeah.
and a whole bunch of others. It really is a gathering of communities, and
Yeah.
it's, for so many people, that's the real secret of it.
And if you're new going along to Oshkosh and you've got an interest and you turn up, you will be made to feel incredibly welcome. You can meet people, and it's like you've always been there. That you'll integrate. So, Ian, what was your favourite thing?
Well, my favourite thing didn't actually happen during Oshkosh. It happened
Yeah.
a week before. So the Monday before, I happened to find myself in Chicago. And I got an Uber to Chicago Executive.
Yeah.
And Matt Bergwell, who looks after the Vision Jet for Cirrus, popped by in a Vision Jet that he had hanging around.
Just handily.
And he
Yeah.
invited me to jump in the left seat and fly us up to
Fantastic.
Oshkosh. So we did. I think it was, 25-minute flight or something. Next
Yeah.
thing I think we got 300 knots
Okay.
across the ground. Because
Yeah.
obviously that would be illegal. 10,000 feet, 250 knot limit. So yeah, flew in, had a good look round. It was amazing. Still being built, and there's kind of like a tiny fraction of the people, hardly any aircraft.
Yeah.
But you could clearly see the show being just coming together. The excitement was kind of palpable. There wasn't any panic or anything, but people had lots and lots of pallets and stuff in front of their stand. It was
Yeah.
it was just one of those.
But it was an empty Oshkosh essentially.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
You could just see it coming together slowly. You imagine the crescendo towards the end of the week, and then
Yeah.
this place appears. Maybe next year I need to see it a week after.
All right.
Well, I think the neat thing about I've seen some photos of people who've been like the last to leave, and they kind of turn around and take a shot as they take off, and you see all the little ghost shadows on the grass of where aeroplanes have been.
Right,
Yes.
Oh, nice.
And it's like everyone departs Oshkosh, but Oshkosh is still has these squadrons of aeroplanes just like outlines in the grass. So yeah.
How did
Only
you,
people like you would be able to tell what they were.
Yeah, it's like we should play that one year. It's like Ed, identify this aeroplane from its shadow.
What's next then? Why would you go back?
Why would you go back?
Let's start with Dave. Dave, why would you go back?
well, why would I go back? The reason I would go back is because every year I go, I'm there primarily to do news, and I get involved in doing interviews with people. A couple of years I have managed to fly an aeroplane, but usually I'm stuck on the ground, head in front of a computer. So I would go back only without the laptop, no need for a laptop, not working, just to fly in and experience the whole thing on the ground. Preferably with someone having a nice plush RV or something there waiting for me. But if necessary, I'd camp. I'd really love to do the whole being there overnight experience and not have to think about work.
Rachel, why would you go back?
Well, I was there for a week and I feel like I just didn't even really scratch the surface of what there is to see. I didn't even make it as far as the ultralight area and the whole other, what do they call it, the fun zone? Flying zone?
Fun fly zone is the ultralight zone.
Yeah, so I didn't make it to that bit.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of interesting workshops like welding and that kind of thing that you can have a go at. I didn't do anything at the theatre in the woods. There's all sorts of different things that are on offer there that I didn't see, and same with kind of the afternoon air shows. Didn't really get the chance to just sit and watch those. There's just so much to do. You could easily fill a week there year after year and probably still not do all of it.
It's kind of understandable that you didn't get to see ultralights, because you tend to forget that even just between kind of ultralights and warbirds, because they mark out the kind of two extents to a degree, that's nearly 2.5 kilometres between the two. But people forget it's just such a vast site.
Yeah, and I was looking at some stuff for the South 40s, which are kind of beyond ultralights. Had a whole ton of aircraft parked in it.
Yeah, South 40s was really full. And if you draw a line from South 40 to North 40, which is the kind of two extent, that's nearly 4 kilometres.
What does the 40 stand for? I can understand the north and south bit.
That's a good question. Answers in the comments.
Yeah, if you let's have the answers in the comments. Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Ed?
Why would I go back? Because it's Oshkosh. You always go back. It's like the year that we missed out, which was 2020, which was COVID. It's like it was just sad it didn't happen. And then 2021, when they did have it and we couldn't go because of travel restrictions, it's like someone had chopped my arms off.
That was a bit tragic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I might link to a video. We made a video about not going. I'll link
we
to
were
that in the
sad.
description. we were sad.
But yeah, you go back because it's Oshkosh, and because it's you go because there's no question. There's always cool stuff, and then when you've seen the cool stuff, more cool stuff turns up.
Yeah.
So
Personally, I'd go back. There's just so much cool stuff. You're right. That you can never see enough cool stuff. But and it's a bit of a cliche, but you maybe go for the aircraft and you come back from the people. I don't know how long I've been going now, 10, 12 years, something like that. But you end up just knowing a whole load of people and bumping into a whole load of old friends and sitting down and chatting. And just that, in combination with the experience of all of the cool stuff, all of the new stuff, and everything else, it kind of rebuilds your enthusiasm. It's kind of like it's like you go there and you go, big injection of enthusiasm for aviation, sir. There you go, and you go back, aviation's amazing. And then you've got a whole 12 months for the petty, awkward bits of aviation that just peck at your ankles to eat up your enthusiasm. There aren't that many of those, but there's a few.
And Oshkosh is amazing, isn't it? Because it's enthusiasm, and it's across the whole age range. You've got really tiny kids. There was like a parade of pedal planes, and you've got kids pedaling down Celebration Way in their little aeroplanes, and you've got really old,
Really old kids.
Really old pilots, still enjoying their amazing airplanes.
I think everyone's a child at Oshkosh, actually.
Yeah.
Well, as we've said before, one of the most amazing things about Oshkosh is that it's all conducted with such friendliness. There's no oiks in high-vis jackets yelling at you. Oi!
I don't think I saw a clipboard all week.
No.
And even with the main air shows, you're sitting at the flight line. There's no barriers or anything.
No, everyone just stays and enjoys. And and the other thing is it's so clean. It's like it's bigger than Glastonbury, more people, longer, and yet it's immaculate every day. Yeah.
I think also what's amazing about it is that you've just got every conceivable aircraft in the aviation spectrum represented there. So you've got these quirky little home builds at one end of the spectrum.
Quirky little home builds, right?
And then at the other end of the spectrum.
That's almost like your resignation letter, isn't it?
But I mean it in the best possible way. But when you can contrast that with something like the Dreamlifter or the Osprey and things like that, it's just amazing that all these different sizes of aircraft are all there, and you can get right up close to them. You can sit under the super guppy when you need a bit of shade.
They even let in some helicopters.
They
keep them hidden away.
Well, you
Airport.
say that. I mean, I was led to believe that there were going to be no helicopters.
I know, and
but
actually
there were
they heard you
loads.
were coming, and there were loads, weren't there?
Okay. Yeah, that was. Anyway, before we're in danger of overdosing on positivity and gorgeousness,
yes,
that is Oshkosh. What are the couple of things that are best avoided at Oshkosh, if you possibly can?
Well, if you're like me, who's not the neatest of eater in the first place, avoid the burritos. Are they called?
Avoid exploding food.
It's just a damn thing exploded on me.
Well, on the subject of food, I would say another one to avoid is root beer. I mean,
No,
if you
not a root beer
if
fan?
you want something that smells and tastes like surgical spirit,
Yeah.
go for root beer. But otherwise, avoid.
Have you tried root beer in the past? Did your experience match Rachel's?
Yeah, that was my first experience of it. But I also tried Mountain Dew for the first time, and that was not too bad.
Okay.
You also tried one of those wintergreen lifesavers.
Oh yeah, that was ghastly. Yeah. That also tasted like surgical spirit.
Wow. Okay.
It.
It's very easy to go to Oshkosh and manage to not get enough sleep. I had one day that started at 4:20 in the morning. It ended at 12:15 at night. So it's but that's just because there's so much to do there. So yeah.
Yeah, my thing to avoid, because I'd had a week in Chicago during which I'd done an awful lot of walking.
Yeah.
And so I arrived at
Ooh.
Oshkosh with a couple of small blisters.
And you left Oshkosh
I left
with
Oshkosh with some whacking great blisters. I discovered the value of Compede. I mean, seriously, I'm cured now, but don't take an injury with you to Oshkosh. Let us know if you went to Oshkosh what your favourite parts were. If you didn't go to Oshkosh, we're working on a video which is kind of top tips for newbies at Oshkosh. So that'll be out in the next couple of months, I'm guessing.
I guess the question is, if you've never been to Oshkosh, tell us in the comments if you're going to go in 2024.
Four.
Yes.
And what you want to know.
And what you want to know. Plus, we have got yet another video which is like five hidden secrets, or
Yes.
something like that. We'll be calling it. Basically, 5 insider tips to Oshkosh.
What not
So
to miss.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like ways to survive Oshkosh just that little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Well, thank you very much. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe.
Bye.
See ya.